Welcome, everyone, to North Country Nights, a podcast exploring the haunting and beautiful world of the Tony Award-winning musical Girl from the North Country. Girl from the North Country is a jukebox musical with songs by Bob Dylan and written by Connor McPherson. It centers around the Lane family, who run a struggling guest house. Nick Lane, the proprietor, faces the threat of foreclosure, while his wife Elizabeth suffers from dementia. Their son Gene is unemployed and an alcoholic, and their adopted daughter Marianne is pregnant and unmarried. The musical weaves together the lives of these characters with the timeless music of Bob Dylan, creating a poignant and evocative portrait of human resilience and despair in the face of adversity. Robert Allen Zimmerman, or as we call him, Bob Dylan, is considered one of the greatest songwriters of all time, becoming a major figure in popular culture over his 60-year career. Now, fun fact, with an estimated figure of more than 125 million records sold worldwide, he is one of the best-selling musicians of all time. Now, Bob Dylan added increasingly sophisticated lyrical techniques to the folk music of the early 1960s, infusing it with the intellectualism of classic literature and poetry. His lyrics incorporated political, social, and philosophical influences, defying pop music conventions and appealing to the burgeoning counterculture. Now, Dylan was raised in St. Louis County, Minnesota, and at 20 years old, he moved to New York City to pursue music. Following his 1962 self-titled debut album of traditional folk songs, he released his breakthrough album entitled The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan in 1963, which featured Girl from the North Country and A Hard Rain's a Gonna Fall, adapting the tunes and phrasing of older folk songs. Between 1963 and 64, his songs Blowin' in the Wind and The Times They Are A-Changin' became anthems for both the civil rights and anti-war movements. Between 1965 and 66, Dylan drew controversy among folk purists when he adopted electrically amplified rock instrumentation, recorded the rock albums Bring It All Back Home, Highway 61 Revisited, and Blonde on Blonde. By 1966, tragedy struck when a motorcycle crash led Dylan to cease touring for several years. However, during this period, he recorded a large body of songs with members of the band, which produced the 1975 album, The Basement Tapes. During the late 1960s and early 70s, Dylan explored country music and rural themes on the albums John Wesley Harding, Nashville Skyline, and New Morning. Since 1994, Dylan has published 9 books of both paintings and drawings, with his work being exhibited in major art galleries. Had his life profiled in several documentaries as well as the 2024 biopic A Complete Unknown, and not only still releases music, but has toured continuously since the late 1980s on what has become known as the Never-Ending Tour. Now, among the many accolades Bob Dylan has received, he's most notable for his 10 Grammy Awards, a Golden Globe Award, a 2009 National Media of Arts Award, the 2012 Presidential Medal of Freedom Award, the 2016 Nobel Prize in Literature for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition, as well as being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Now, his musical Girl from the North Country made its world premiere in October of 2017 at the Old Vic in London. Following the success of the Old Vic production, it transferred into London's West End at the Noel Coward Theatre in December of 2017. The production then made its off-Broadway premiere at the Public Theater in New York in and around September of 2018. By March of 2020, The Girl from North Country made its Broadway premiere at the Belasco Theater, running for just 7 performances before the COVID-19 pandemic shuttered Broadway theaters. The cast starred Canadian actor best known for his role as medical examiner Sid Hammerback on the police procedural series CSI New York, Mr. Robert Joy, actress and singer-songwriter Luba Mason, 2-time Tony-winning actress Mare Winningham, stage, film, and television actor J.O. Sanders, as well as actor and singer Colton Ryan, and stage, film, and television actor Matt McGrath. The production resumed performances in October of 2021 and was ultimately shuttered on January 23, 2022 with initial plans to reopen at a different Schubert house in the spring. Now, Variety called it a loving homage with a neat turn of phrase and a tang in the air. When people sing, it's as if they pop the bonnets off their brains and let us look inside, concluding that the blend slips down easy, enjoyable, and soulful. Now, Dylan himself praised the show in an interview with historian Douglas Brinkley, stating, "Sure, I've seen it, and sure, it affected me. I saw it as an anonymous spectator, not as someone who had anything to do with it. I just let it happen. The play had me crying at the end. I can't even say why. When the curtain came down, I was stunned. I really was. Too bad Broadway shut down because I really wanted to see it again." Now, fun fact, prior to its Broadway reopening, the production was filmed for a future public release. Producers Tristan Baker and Charlie Parsons remarked, "We feel that now was the right time to capture this incredible production. This was the right time with the right cast, and everything fell into place perfectly. The story is beautiful and deserves to be seen by audiences all over the world, even if they can't make it to the theater." Now, national touring production opened in 2022 in both Australia and New Zealand before touring across the UK and Ireland. Writer and director Connor McPherson said, "Collaborating with Bob Dylan has been a unique privilege for me. We have had an amazing journey opening on Broadway and in the West End, but I feel particularly excited and moved to finally bring this work to my hometown of Dublin and on tour around the UK." The Sunday Express awarded the transfer 5 stars, saying Bob Dylan's songs are so emotive and intense that they might well have overwhelmed the action. It's greatly to McPherson's credit that Girl from the North Country is such a compelling drama in its own right. McPherson had written a subtle and touching play about small-town lives in Middle America in the 1930s. The Great Depression has entered the very bones of the drifters and fugitives who end up in Nick's boarding house in Duluth, Minnesota. I hailed the show on its premiere last autumn, and the well-deserved transfer should not be missed. It's the most powerful, affecting, and original musical in London. And yes, that also includes Hamilton. Well, folks, thanks for joining us on this journey through the bleak and beautiful world of Girl from the North Country. Until next time, may you too find some solace in the music and the stories, because the truth, my friend, is blowing in the wind.